So that's kind of how we start that first course, is laying the foundation for, what we think we know about money, what we know about money. Really thinking about, we take a different approach when it comes to money. Oftentimes, I mean, if you've been listening to our podcast, we don't just sit and talk about financial products, that there is a whole world when it comes to finances. And we do have a golf analogy where we talk about, as a golfer, there's the swing, which is the knowledge and skills, and then there's the golf clubs. And the golf clubs are the financial products. And so the first two sessions of the course are really working on our financial swing, our basic knowledge of finance.
Hi, this is your host, Felicia Gopaul, and with me today I've got my co-host, Mandy Herring. Several years ago, the principal of the firm that Mandy and I work through created a course called the Financial Foundations course. It was originally created for Gold Star families who were grappling with their finances after the death of a loved one in their military service. After receiving numerous positive reviews on the caliber and the understandability of the course, we started to roll it out to our new clients and prospects, and we've gotten very complimentary remarks ever since then. Now, for the past 4 years, we've had, is it hundreds, thousands? What would you say? I'm going to stop that. I'm
I would,
asking you, Maddie.
yeah, I know. With the Gold Star, I don't know. I would say over 1,000.
For the past 4 years, we've had over 1,000 people take the course. So I want you to take a minute and listen in to hear what a recent graduate of the course shares her thoughts and her experience of being in the course. All right, great. So Mandy leads the second week of the course, and it happens to be one of my clients' favorite weeks. And Mandy, would you share with our listeners today the topics we cover in the 8 weeks of the course?
Yeah, and I'll just have to say that part of the reason why I joined the firm that we're with is because I'm a former economics teacher, and so financial education is near and dear to my heart. And so this is something a project that I'm very proud of working with and on, and really see the value of that we bring during the course. So some of the things we talk about, the beginning of the course really lays the foundation for just the basics of thinking about finance. And what we find working with our clients and even in the course is, there's a lot of things about money that people think they know about money. And then there's also a lot of things that they think they know is true, but come to discover that it's not true. And, a Pew Research study has shown that, 50% of Americans feel somewhat confident in their knowledge when it comes to finances. 48% of women feel like they have some basic knowledge about finances, but only 28% feel empowered to take action. And so I think what we do here with Her Money Story and with the Financial Foundations class really helps to up that number of people that feel confident to take action with their finances. So that's kind of how we start that first course, is laying the foundation for, what we think we know about money, what we know about money. Really thinking about, we take a different approach when it comes to money. Oftentimes I mean, if you've been listening to our podcast, we don't just sit and talk about financial products, that there is a whole world when it comes to finances. And we do have a golf analogy where we talk about, as a golfer, there's the swing, which is the knowledge and skills, and then there's the golf clubs. And the golf clubs are the financial products. And so the first two sessions of the course are really working on our financial swing, our basic knowledge of finance. The second class, we go a little bit deeper. That's the class that I lead. And we talk about what we call the personal economic model. And that's a visualization of helping us to really understand how the flow of money goes through our life, and really lay the foundation for how we need to view money. And this is the point where a lot of people that think they know stuff about money realize, oh, there's so much more I don't know. And so that's a really exciting experience to go through with the participants, and I really get into that. And then we start to get more into some of the clubs as the course goes on. So week 3, we start to talk about taxes. Um, Tax planning is really, really important. Oftentimes in finances, we try to think about rate of return. And what we don't think about is how taxes peel away. And so by having a financial plan that's more tax efficient actually saves you money. So in another episode, we're going to talk more about trade-offs and when it comes to money, and how taxes is one of those areas that we can really address when it comes to having an efficient financial plan. Session 4, we start to talk more about qualified plans. So think about your retirement planning and some areas there, that things that we may not know about, and some strategies and things like that when it comes to qualified plans. The session number 5 is Felicia's favorite um, topic on investing. And I know in the podcast here we allude a lot to investing. We really dive into the world of investing in that session. And so stay tuned for that. We'll talk more about as the podcast goes on, we'll talk more about investing. So that's Felicia's area of expertise. We get into mortgages, a lot of things we don't think about, or just a necessary thing. And keep in mind, even if you don't have a mortgage, there's still a lot you can learn about when it comes to it costs money to sleep inside. And sometimes we think that, oh, I don't have a mortgage or I never will have a mortgage. There's still a lot we can learn when it comes to just about where you live and those expenses. Insurance planning, life insurance, different types of protection that we build our financial house for ourselves. How do we protect that financial house? So that's class 7. And then we finish out the course. By the way, it's an 8-week course. We finish out the course talking about estate planning and Social Security, and even getting into estate planning. So we really cover a broad range of financial topics, and the purpose really is to give you an overview and feel empowered to have a specific conversation with a financial coach on how to make a plan to carry out a lot of things we cover in the course.
I had the opportunity before we even jumped on today to talk with somebody who is currently in the course. And one of the things that she says that she is developing as part of being in the course is peace of mind around finances. She's somebody who is retired. So, when she first signed up, she was just like, should I even be taking this thing? Isn't it too late for me? And I the takeaway that she's learning through the 3 weeks that she's already been into the course is she's learning, first and foremost, that she's learning some new things. It is disrupting some of the things that she thought she knew. And the last session when we were talking about taxes was really confronting for her. But after we had our one-on-one, which is certainly part of the course for all of the participants, is you'll get matched up with a coach, and then we often will meet with them on a weekly basis. And what she has expressed to me directly is that she's getting greater peace of mind around her finances just by going through this experience. So it's certainly something that we invite all of our listeners to. But the other thing that people have expressed to Mandy and I over the years is there's certain things that we talk about, which we call golden nuggets. So, Mandy, why don't you talk about the first golden nugget that comes out of your session that people I get? I don't teach this class, that particular session, but my people talk about this section when Mandy does it. So, Mandy, why don't you share that with our listeners?
Yeah, one of the first golden nuggets we like to call golden nuggets, where it's just something that you're going to want to write down, you're going to want to put on your wall. And that is the formula for wealth. And so this is one of those things that I have this on the wall in my office just to remind me, what does it take to build wealth? And
You are
so
such a nerd. You are
I
such
am
a
a total,
nerd.
oh my gosh, I am a total nerd. Yes, you should see my wall of all the things that I have. And yes, the formula for wealth. Yeah, when I was a teenager, I may have had a cute boy up on the wall. Now it's now my poster is the formula for wealth. Yes. And so just like you were saying that through this course, people find themselves being empowered to really take a look at their finances and come up with a financial plan. And looking at the formula for wealth can really help with that. So the formula for wealth, the basics is you need money. Okay, you have to have some kind of base of money to start on. And that can be a little bit, Felicia, you talk a lot about, even just saving $5 a week, or $5 a month and then up that to $5 a week. So, even that little bit of getting yourself in that habit of saving and starting with that nest egg, it doesn't have to be thousands or millions of dollars to start with, but you have to have that nest egg to start with. And we'll talk a little bit later about compound interest and how that plays a big role in that too. So, first, you have to have money, then, it plus time. The more time you have, the more time that money can compound and grow. And again, I think we often think you mentioned like your participant talking about that she's retired, but we spend 20 plus years in retirement. So, retirement date is not the end. It's just the beginning of another phase of your life. So you still have time even if you are retired. So, formula for wealth, you need money plus time plus or minus the rate of return. So how the interest, the risk you're taking minus inflation. Nowadays, this is something that's very familiar to people, depending on when we talk to people, sometimes people are like, inflation, I don't need to worry about that. What's that? But when we're talking about time, inflation is always a key factor, and that's a negative in our equation. And then minus taxes. So money plus time plus or minus rate of return minus inflation minus taxes equals wealth. So a good financial plan is going to take all those things into consideration, which is again why I have it up on my wall.
So, one of the other things that people talk about, and it's one of the things that we talk about in Just Week One, is we talk about being a spender, a saver, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So, a spender, a saver, a wealth creator, and then a legacy builder. And I asked my people what category they see themselves in. And so one of the things that I think we do a really great job is we talk about what these things are. I mean, people kind of, I think I'm a spender, I think I'm a saver, that sort of stuff. But one of the things that we add to that conversation is we add in, we start at the zero line. I think one of the things that one of my spenders talked about when I was talking to her about the class, is she was just talking about this idea that I am borrowing from my future self when I am spending money that I don't have. And it's just like, she was just like, I never really thought about it that way. It was just like, I just put it on a credit card. But, those are my future. That's why I can't get out of the cycle that I'm in, because I am spending my future's money, the money that I'm going to be making, to take care of something that I'm doing today. And again, that's a golden nugget. And it's one of the things that we talk about in our first week. And people really do. As I said, I talk to my participants later on, and they will say, "Oh, I was about to make a spender decision. Oh, I was about to do what I normally do. I was the saver. Oh, now, Felicia, I'm so excited. I am now in the wealth creator situation." And I just talked to a client from the past, and she was just like, "Yeah, the fact that you had me do this estate planning has really paid off." And so the thing that I want to have you kind of walk away with is there is a lot in this class, and it doesn't matter whether or not you are just at the beginning of your career, as my young adults in my household, or if you are mid-career, or if you're even a retiree. We've got something for everybody. What else do people talk about inside of this class,
Well,
Mandy?
Yeah, well, I just like to add in there too. You talk about savers, and that was totally me. And I think I thought to myself, I'm great. I'm a saver. I'm one of those financially responsible people. And that was one of those areas that I learned that, yeah, say being a saver is good, but it's not better, but there's better, and then there's best. And that the wealth creator is better, and then a legacy provider is the best. And so, that was something that even those of you listening who feel like, I do some pretty good things, this goes back to what I was talking about, where you're going to learn some things that maybe you thought were true that aren't true. And so, even if you're a saver, there's definitely something there in this course for you also. Yeah, the other thing that we talk about in the course is what we call the personal economic model. And what this was an image that was created actually by a friend of mine named Don Blanton. And just like me, he was a former teacher and really understands the art of explaining stuff to people. And he created this image called the personal economic model that really helps us to understand the flow of money through our life. Like you were just mentioning, Felicia, about how, sometimes people, you just think day to day. You just think about, well, I have this expense, I need to pay for it, and that's it. And one of the things that we do when we coach people is really challenge people to think about their money differently and thinking about it over your lifetime and how you have millions of dollars, believe it or not, even at a modest income, you're going to have millions of dollars pass through your fingers. And if you can think about it that way, it really can change your behavior when it comes to how you behave around your money. And so the personal economic model is another favorite of participants because this whole money situation can be so confusing. And to have this image to really, you know, oftentimes we hear the analogy of a bucket. I've got this bucket and that bucket. Well, the problem is sometimes we separate those buckets and we don't think about how those buckets all relate to each other. Why, as a saver, I had my savings and you don't touch that. That's behind glass and you only break that glass if there's an emergency. And the personal economic model shows us that all of that's actually connected and that we control the valve between those different areas. And so it's a really great, by the time you're done with the class, you actually end up reading the whole book. And there's a lot of other great insights that it gets into.
Yeah, the other thing is, in personal finance, everybody wants to talk to me about investing. So if I'm on a plane and I'm willing to, and I want to talk to people, they ask me what I do is, I tell them I'm an investment manager and, the conversation goes, what should I buy? All the rest of that sort of stuff. So we talk about investing this class, but we talk about it perhaps in a different way than other people will talk about it. Oftentimes in financial services, I've been in the industry for quite a few years. I was always talking to people about, oh, you're getting this rate, and I can help you get a rate that's higher than that. And so, a lot of times, for a lot of people, when they think about investing, they just think of it in terms of making more money. Well, what we talk about is a little bit different. Certainly, we think that the way that we do things could help you make more money, but we also are always looking through the lens of what kind of impact can we have on your finances? And we look at it through kind of a tax filter. We always are kind of looking through it that way. But we also include really two different things. We talk about the science of academic investing. So there is a science to how you invest your money. And a lot of people aren't even aware of that. And that's one of the things that we cover inside of the financial foundations course. But in addition to it, it's not just the science of investing and the academics of it, but there's also a whole behavioral component to the whole thing. So I used to, as I said, I've been in the industry for quite a few years, and it used to drive me a little batty. I have to admit this, Mandy, is it used to drive me a little bit batty. It's sometimes I would put together what I thought was the most flawless, perfect plan. That's me thinking about me. But you know what I'm saying? I would think about that, and then people would do something that was completely the opposite of what it is that we agreed to or was in their best interest or whatever. And so what I really came to understand is there's this whole behavioral aspect that also has to get managed when you are thinking about investments. So one of the things that we do inside the class, and I think it is week 5 is we really start to talk about the influence of your biases and your perceptions and all of those things on your investing. Because inside of one of the things that we talk about in week 1 is we talk about, the things that are, the 6 areas of wealth transfer that we work in. So we talk about that inside the classes, and I'm not going to really spend very much time on it today. But one of the areas that can make a huge difference on people's in game in terms of how much money they've accumulated over their lifetime is how they handle their money over time. And so that's one of the golden nuggets and things that people talk to me about, even years later when we're doing our annual reviews, if they become clients.
Yeah, what I really love about the financial foundations class is I know my experience in the past working with financial advisors is, generally it's someone that kind of sits me down and says, okay, I want you to buy this and buy that, and here you go. And that was always frustrating to me. And maybe it's because I'm an economics nerd, so I want to dig into the details. But I think it's important to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And that's what I really love about, that what we do with the Financial Foundations course is it's an 8-week course. We meet for 2 hours once a week for 8 weeks. And it's very interactive. It's not just sit there and listen. It's very much, as much as we can do so digitally, being on together and asking questions of each other. And then the great thing, and if you want to sign up for our financial foundations class, just go to hermoneystory.com and you will get coached personally by me or Felicia. You get, not only are you attend the course that we are a part of, but you get to meet with one of us one-on-one for one-on-one coaching through the session. So it's extremely personalized in that way. And that by the time you're done with the course, we've actually created a financial plan together. And so I really like that it's not only here's some information, do with it what you will, that we really create a relationship and work through the course together.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, one of the things that I've heard, and one of the reasons why I focus on working with women, is women often say that sometimes when they're talking to their male financial advisor, they kind of get a pat on the head,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of comes across as just listen to me, little girl, and I'll just tell you what to do. But one of the things that I think we do a really great job of at the firm, and certainly when you're working with us one on one, is I think we're able to personalize it, we're able to make it educational. You walk away feeling like you've learned something and you understand what you've learned, and you're a partner in the decisions that you're making going forward, as opposed to somebody dictating and mandating this is the way you should do things. And I think that that's one of the key takeaways that we've got in the Financial Foundations course. And we highly encourage you to attend one of them. We do them 3 times a year. We typically will do one in January, and then we'll do another one in April, and then we'll do one later in the year, October, November. Well, not generally November, generally around October. So if the timing doesn't work for you to be in the next one, just know that you can get on our list. Let us know that you're interested, and we'll make sure that we invite you to the next one. But I will warn you, and let me warn you, is this is not one of those classes that you just sign up for, sit through, and just and have us talk to you. There is interaction that we expect and actually demand. I've heard from some people that I talked to about the class. Oh, you've told me that if I'm not serious, that I should not sign up. And I was just like, yeah, both Mandy and I believe that. We offer it all the time. We offer it annually, 3 times a year. So if the timing doesn't work because your life, your whatever is going on is not conducive, we're going to be offering again, and we invite you to come back. But check us
Yeah, and
out
I
when
would
you're
say,
serious and ready. Yes.
yeah. And if we've piqued your interest here today, we're actually going to do a follow-up episode next where we're going to talk a little bit more about another one of the golden nuggets that we talk about in the financial foundations class. That's a really big takeaway, and that's about making economic decisions and making money decisions. And so if you're still kind of on the fence, listen to our next episode. And I think you'll be really excited after listening to our next episode about what are some of the potential things that you can really take away from taking the Financial Foundations course. So to finish off today, we're going to share with you another testimonial from a participant from the Financial Foundations course. Once again, if you'd like to sign up and be coached personally by Felicia or myself, please go to hermoneystory.com.
Hi there. So I just wanted to give my testimonial for the FFC Financial Foundations course by CSP. This was an 8-week program, and I took the course under instructor Felicia Gopaul. The course itself was extremely helpful and knowledgeable. All of the course instructors broke down all the foundational financial information in easily digestible chunks. Beginning this course, I did not know what to expect, but ending the course, I can confidently say that I'm entering 2025 with a strong foundation, and I feel confident in now knowing the basics regarding life insurance and Roth and retirement plans, and it was very informational if you're an entrepreneur, freelancer, or just want a better basis and understanding of how to retire faithfully and with confidence. I highly recommend taking the Financial Foundations course because you won't be sorry, and you'll leave feeling a lot stronger and confident in your foundational financial knowledge.